If you feel you have what it takes to be awarded as the best in the business, here is your chance to apply. Head on over to our website, download the form and apply. If you face any troubles when applying or feel the need to get in touch with us directly, email us, call us, tweet at me directly at Sunanda_J or join our Facebook group.
Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, 18 Hours special initiative that celebrates the undying entrepreneurial spirit of micro, small and medium enterprises. This is the only daily MSME platform in the country, a show where you can voice your concerns and get answers to all your queries directly from our team of experts. We understand the issues that you, the MSME entrepreneur, face, and the show aims to bring you the most relevant and the most updated information on everything related to your businesses. Tonight, we're talking GST and how you, the MSME entrepreneur, should be prepared for the rollout of GST. And joining me on the panel to talk about those changes and how to prepare yourself is K. Satyanarayana. He's the co-founder and director of Ecom Express. He's joining us from our studio in Noida. We are also being joined by YG Parande. He's the senior advisor at Deloitte, also joining us from Noida. And joining us from Bengaluru is Rajiv Banduni. He's the CEO of Growth Enabler. YG Parande, K. Satyanarayana and Rajiv Banduni, thank you all very much, gentlemen, for being with us here tonight and talking about GST, the fine print of GST and the implications that MSMEs can expect to see going forward. Let me perhaps start with Deloitte and ask you to kick this panel off by giving us your initial thoughts on whether you think this is going to be all positive as far as MSMEs and SMEs and entrepreneurs are concerned when it comes to GST.
Okay, thank you, Sunanda. I think the positives are going to be, a digitized compliance environment where once you get your fix on technology right, compliance is kind of on autopilot. Then a clean credit chain which minimizes the cost on the businesses and an overall simplified administration.
Sure. Rajiv, the earlier, the system which existed ensured that small-scale units really were being favored over the larger peers because of the taxation system and the way that it was done. Do you think they'll still continue to benefit now that the playing field really is going to be leveled, the exemption limits have been brought lower?
Challenge earlier was because they were interstate tax and the other challenge was there's something called Form 5C actually, and that is a draconian form because it's your responsibility when you are supplying equipment to someone is to ensure that that entity submits the tax around that, and if that is not happening, you will be penalized for that. With the GST, all these things gets taken care. Everyone becomes easy. In fact, other way around, if you look at it, large companies could do stock transfers and smaller companies couldn't do that. I think it's going to favor small companies actually. The challenge you're going to see is companies who have not been into tax net earlier. So earlier the limit was around 1.5 crore and above, and now it has been brought down to 10 lakh. The people who have not been into this tax regime, first they need to learn. Second is that if you're trying to automate it, the biggest issue they're going to see is that how do I handle it? I have not handled it. So if government can make it easy, like they have done it with income tax for individuals, if they can create an app, if they can make it easy for someone with 10 lakh of turnover to file their taxes without having to involve any expertise, it's going to be a very, very good move actually. And I think what is important here is an initiative from a government perspective that if they can do a digital literacy actually. On the side of consumer, I think it's fantastic for consumer actually because I think they're going to get price advantage. In fact, this GST implementation will introduce something very, very important, the supply chain cost and the logistic cost of a smaller micro SMEs is going to drop by around 20%. They have an ability to pass that benefit to consumer or to their fellow B2B businesses actually. So my perspective is that it's good. It creates a level playing field. It allows any entrepreneur, it allows any business owner to focus on their business and not to worry about these things.
Sure. Okay, let me come back to some of those points in detail in just a bit. But Satyanarayana, let me bring you in at this point. Rajiv was talking about the cost, whether it's the logistics cost or the cost of compliance. But I want to talk to you and get some initial comments from you. Would the headline or the takeaway for you from the fine print of the GST be that cost is something that over the long term is going to be negligible for MSMEs and entrepreneurs?
See, from the cost point of view, especially talking about logistics and supply chain costs, I guess from the long-term point of view, yes, they stand to gain. See, the position, currently the logistics cost is driven through the compliance, the mechanisms. Like basically, since we are into state, the tax structures. Okay, tomorrow's scenario, in the GST scenario, there is going to be bound to be, it is operational driven and cost driven. So therefore, I'm sure the supply chain and the logistics side also, there will be cost benefits which will flow into the directly to the MSME sectors. So in my view, the costs are bound to come down the supply chain front to OD from, I think, in the long-term point of view, surely.
Okay, since you're talking about logistics and since you're in the logistics space, Satyanarayana, let me in fact take in a question which has come to us from our viewer. Lokesh Gangadhar has written in to us to say that he has a logistics business and has been waiting for the fine print of the GST to look at whether or not expansion would be a good idea. What is your suggestion to him?
See, currently we need to understand that no, the rules are not really clearly specified as of today. Like for example, I'm being in a B2C part. I have three players to be addressed. One is my principal buyer of services. Then there is a service recipient, which is end consumer. Then we have the seller. Okay, and similarly on B2B side, it is the transport the origin of transportation, I think, stand to play a role there. So that will define the place of supply. In case of B2C, it is basically, I think we need to see the more clarity in terms of rules being defined out there. See, the point which I was stressing upon is basically previously the logistics, the position, the expansion, everything driven through the compliance side. But today, I think it will be driven the operational efficiency side. Okay, now one could have, see, it's question of no, like for example, in my sector, I need to have delivery center across the country. Okay, but can I get the hubs or large processing center across the country? May not be so. Currently, maybe I'm bound in operating from the state borders, within the state borders or some major centers, not directly impacting the state taxes, etc. But yes, in future, yes, I'll be looking at more in terms of positioning my hubs or warehouses, except in a places where it can give me operational efficiency and the shortening the turnaround time.
Okay, since you're talking about logistics, I also want to dovetail this conversation into retail. And Pandey, I want you to come in on this. The retail sector in India perhaps is one of the most highly regulated. Different, sort of rules and regulations exist for different sections of retail and particularly e-commerce. While online has managed to level the playing field for smaller players to work with larger players in the retail space, do you think it's all positive for retail? And also the whole strategy of discounts that a lot of companies in this sector take on, freebies now will definitely get charged, and this is going to be an additional charge, particularly for MSMEs. Do you think it's all positive then in terms of the commentary?
You know, as far as logistics are concerned, the businesses are going to be driven largely by the operational imperatives and not by tax imperatives, and I think that is a major change. Coming to e-commerce, I think there is a need for the regulatory framework to be more enabling. Currently, there are lots of disabling factors which are inhibiting the growth in that sector, and I think a large number of representations have gone to the governments in relation to the draft legislation that was put up. I hope that some of those will be taken on board, particularly in areas like the tax collection at source and all. The e-commerce industry is fairly exercised. Now, it may not be possible for the government to accommodate all the their wish list completely, but I would say that government should look at it in such a way that in this particular context, the businesses are in fact acting as agents of the government so far as the collection of indirect taxes are concerned, and therefore there should be a greater sense of partnership, greater sense of spirit that accommodates mutual concerns and an overall search for a win-win sort of solution. So I mean, on the whole, if you ask me, there is definitely a positive outcome that one can expect, but the attitude of the administration, similarly the approach towards the industry, that needs a little rejigging.
Okay, very quickly before we take a break, I just want to take in one more question which is coming from our viewer Raksha Belur. And Rajiv, I'd like for you to comment on this. Pandey was just talking very, in brief about essentially cold chain. He was saying cold chain and warehousing, and he said changes will have to be put in as far as this industry is concerned. Raksha Belur has written in to us to say that the central GST which is applied to the trader as well as the local GST which is applied to the customer, and her question is now whether both these will be compensated. Do you think this is a sort of a fair concern really being voiced by our viewer?
I think so, but you got to understand, in the absence of that, what is happening is that when I do a business within the state, it's very easy. I don't have to worry about anything. If somebody has paid the tax, I just need to offer a Form C and then I continue to do that. The problem is when it is interstate, and that's where the challenge comes in, because the two states comes into play actually. So if the concern is there, what is the good thing about this is that you don't have to deal with everything. And anybody here, somebody has to upload a challan, you need to download a challan, and somebody has filed a tax, you just need to pick it up and show that the tax has been filed and you get compensated. The only area where there is a bit of an issue is there are a couple of items that has been kept outside the purview of GST. So alcohol is one of them, petroleum is one of them, obviously property is one of them. Now if your raw material happens to be either alcohol, or if your raw material happens to be either petroleum products, then you need to worry about, because there is a bit of ambiguity. But otherwise I won't worry about that. In fact, it is the tax is gonna overall come down, and there is an opportunity for you to get benefited, and then obviously your consumer or your business supplier will get benefited out of that. So there is a concern, but I think government has addressed that concern to ensure that it gets taken care. So if you look at all the taxes, if you put together, it runs anywhere between 25 to 27%. I think there is an opportunity to bring it down closer to 20 or less than 20 actually. So I think it gets taken care with the new GST as it unfolds, but whatever the draft which has come in, it gets taken care actually.
All right, fair enough. Gentlemen, let's take a very quick break at this point. But on the other side, I want to talk about some of the other sectors, real estate, manufacturing, pharma, and how MSME entrepreneurs should prepare for the changes under the GST regime. To stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow, and we're talking about GST and how the changes are going to change things really for our MSME viewers. Let's talk about the real estate space. And Mr. Pandey, I'd like you to comment really on real estate. Again, highly regulated. We've also had RERA, which has been announced, which is going to be a game changer for the industry. Your one or two tips, if you had any, for our viewers who are in the real estate space about how to prepare for GST.
No, real estate again is the real property itself is out of the GST purview, but as far as the services associated with real estate are concerned, they are covered by GST. So, I mean, to some extent, some of the costs might get embedded in the real estate business, because the final property is not subject to real property is not subject to GST. But otherwise, the overall simplified GST environment is going to also help the real estate sector.
Okay. There's a question which has come in fact, on the real estate space from our viewer Rakshit Gowda, and I'd like to open this up both to you, Mr. Pandey, as well as Rajiv. Our viewer Rakshit has written in to say that is the GST bill completely good as far as the real estate space is concerned, and he wants to really know whether it will push affordable housing and what happens to some of the other taxes, including say a local body tax. Will that get subsumed? Will that not get subsumed?
So I mean, I'll just give a quick view on that, because whatever GST says is that your stamp duties, your registration, all that is outside the purview of GST currently. But the thing you talked about, RERA, and what government is trying to do is they're trying to ensure, and I think state government will obviously support that actually, is that anything which is being supplied to them is under the purview of GST. So there is a lot of clarity in terms of that actually. And I think over a period of time when the whole stamp duty thing evolves, what is going to happen is that it's going to bring in a lot of transparency. And the moment transparency comes in, consumer becomes the king actually. And when consumer becomes the king, the comparativeness goes up, the ability to give them better facilities, how to deal with them, all that goes up actually. And in long run, the way it looks like, it's going to cool off the property prices, and the benefit will directly go to the consumer actually, because in a cooling off time, you can buy a property. So what I see, next at least 1 to 2 years, I see the prices for the real estate going down.
Mr. Satyanarayana, I want to come to you and really talk about, one concern, if I can call it that, that's being expressed by, policy makers and also opinion makers. I was talking earlier about the government's move of Make in India. I want to talk about another move or a step on the part of the government, which is ease of doing business. Several opinion makers have said that while GST is great, it's going to level the playing field for industry, we need more, and that particularly is the ease of doing business. That is what is really going to show changes on the ground. Would you agree?
Surely, it is basically, it's going to be one nation, one tax. I think that is the broad term what has been defined in GST. Today we see a lot of the distract in terms of taxes, whether CST, VAT, the entry taxes. Off late I see a lot of states moving in terms of already implemented entry tax into their respective states, thereby making the goods coming to their state costlier. Plus also some of the states are still planning to implement while GST is about to get implemented on 1st of April. But the fact is, yes, the octroi, the LBT, the age-old taxes are really troubling the system in terms of efficiency. In my view, yes, the ease of doing business point of view, I think we need to see the compliance burden on which is going to be falling on the MSME in terms of how it is going to be defined. But the fact is, in terms of doing business, in terms of movement of the distribution, the value chain across the nation, I think it's going to be really, really beneficial. And we are looking forward to really, GST in any case.
All right, fair enough. Let me get quick closing comments then, as we're running out of time on the show. Let me start with you, Mr. Pandey. I want to talk about IT and IT implementation for GST and for companies, and the readiness really of companies which are able to roll out GST and the IT compliance for GST. Do you think we're there yet? And how do you think small companies can really sort of tap into that? And what should they keep in mind when they're preparing for the GST rollout?
For the businesses, it's very critical that they should focus on IT preparedness, because this is going to be an implementation which is going to be 100% digital implementation, at least to start with, in the three key processes, which is registration, payments and returns. So one thing is that if you already have a solution provider, you should be engaging in dialogue with him to see whether he is getting ready for releasing patches, etc., etc. I expect that in course of time, a large number of solutions will be promoted in the market, starting from plain vanilla solutions to a number of value-added products. We should be looking out for those solutions and taking calls on whether, So the first thing right now is it's imperative, no time should be lost in making an impact assessment on where you are in terms of IT preparedness.
Okay, fair enough. Both Mr. Satyanarayana as well as Rajiv, I'd like you to talk to our viewers about the 1 or 2 things you think they should keep in mind when they're preparing for GST rollout.
In my view, I think the MSME sector must focus in terms of looking at the impact part of the GST, post-GST scenario, in terms of looking at their complete the factors of whatever production or services front. For example, MSME services sector today, they are subjected to service tax, central service tax legislation, 15% tax. But tomorrow, if based on their branch structures, etc., then one need to see it is going to be 18% or 23%. One need to be seeing. Okay, that is one part they need to be looking at, and also the more in terms of the preparedness in terms of the registration part, then also the IT capability they need to be building in terms of the returns filing, the compliance part, etc. Actually, these are some of the, I think the planning is very, very important in terms of taking the complete impact analysis and also getting ready in terms of enrollment, and also before the whatever timelines defined by the government, then ready to be in terms of the compliance with the GST rules. Basically, I think that is these are some of the important factors they should be looking at. But surely the planning is very important. Planning is very important. The impact analysis, both on the profit and loss side, plus also on the cash flow side, surely they need to be looking at. Taking into consideration the input tax credits, the RCM rules, etc.
All right, Rajiv, quick comments from you as well.
I think I have a bit of contrarian view here actually. If I'm a small company, I'm a manufacturing company and I'm not a digitally literate actually, and I need to worry about how I need to file my taxes or if I need to take help from them, then I think that's not a right way to implement GST. I have a feeling that the government IT infrastructure is ready. What probably I would expect from government is that if they can do personalization and allow me to file these taxes in a digital way, in a simple uploading the form, downloading the challan, allow me to ship the goods, I think that's good. What I would like to do as a preparation to this is that if I'm not being covered into GST earlier and now the limit has been brought down to 10 lakh, I'll probably just go and study it. I'll probably talk to any of the tax authorities to understand. Very simple is that, hey, what is the role I need to play? What is it I need to do? And if I need to make myself ready to be IT enabled, then I'm a bit disappointed actually, because large companies can do that, but I don't expect anyone which is 10 lakh, 20 lakh turnover to be IT enabled actually. And if government can help me ensure that through a portal in my language, in a personalized way, I can upload all these things, then we have won the battle actually. We have won the battle actually.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us here tonight and talking us through GST. Do remember that if you have any queries, whether related to GST or any other aspect of your business, you can always write in to us at leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com. You can personally tweet at me your questions at Sunanda_J. You can reach us on social media using the hashtag LOT, or you can call us on that number you see on your screens. We promise to have all your queries answered. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.
If you feel you have what it takes to be awarded as the best in the business, here is your chance to apply. Head on over to our website, download the form and apply. If you face any troubles when applying or feel the need to get in touch with us directly, email us, call us, tweet at me directly at Sunanda_J or join our Facebook group.